वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमे कर पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीर धारी कृपाम्बुदिर्यतमहं प्रपद्ये मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Warm welcome. Thank you everyone for joining the Bhagavad Gita session. And actually, again and again, and this is not just, I hope this is not just in lips. Uh, um, thank you very much for making this Bhagavad Gita study happen, and for yeah, having it, continuing with it. And we'll begin with chapter 13. And I think Harsha was there from right from the first chapter, the first text. And yeah, thank you, Harsha, for being there and for inspiring us and encouraging us and or helping me understand Bhagavad Gita. And one day maybe I can be a devotee that yeah, devotees become happy by my conduct. So we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Uh, the whole practice of Krishna consciousness encompasses what philosophy, culture, and etiquette. So it's a culture like and very behavioral, and the dialogue, the talk Arjuna, Krishna and Arjuna are having. So Krishna is inspiring Arjuna at all levels, body, mind, soul, senses, all levels. And the right, I mean, see, communication many times, right? Like many a times, the the misunderstanding is not because the persons are at fault. No, persons on both sides, they are good and they have a good gentle um, view, they have a good gentle intent, and no nothing, but it's just some communication gap or some misunderstandings, and which kind of uh, causes some friction. And this is what we see in society, even countries, for some small things, then war take place, and later on, well, I didn't mean that, or I heard, overheard you, I heard wrong, or things like that. Family ना, small small in India parking को लेके हो जाता है ना, छोटी छोटी बातों को लेके ही. And then we find, okay, it was some communication gap or some assumptions or things. But Bhagavad Gita is such a dialogue. We don't need to make any assumptions for Bhagavad Gita. No, no, it's a proper revelation in the heart. It's a such a mystical, such a sweet, charming revelation in the heart. And it will be a revelation in the heart when we allow Krishna, when we allow Guru and Gaurang to speak through us. This is the prayer. Somehow or other, Krishna used me as an instrument. Krishna used this mouthpiece as an instrument to glorify you. Uh, and the words of Bhagavad Gita, they should be our only solace. They should be our hope, and so much of cherish we should. They should be worn like a nectar or like a jewel around the neck. So with this mood, prayer, aim, and aspiration that we are all able to take the message of Bhagavad Gita as it is, imbibe it, put it into practice, understand it, see it, and also see Bhagavad Gita should help us carry a good presence of mind. In this war, Arjuna had to fight, isn't it? And such a big war means you have to be very calculative, good presence of mind, sharp intelligence, throughout, so absorbing. Book distribution again, such an absorbing service, book distribution, isn't it? One needs to be throughout carry a good presence of mind, enthusiasm, everything. So Arjuna had to carry a good presence of mind. So if when we study Bhagavad Gita, And when we chant the holy names of Krishna, reading, hearing, chanting, this is the core. This is the core. Listening. Uh, Otherwise, just reading book Bhagavad Gita, it's not actually a book as such, but say reading the book Bhagavad Gita. But how do we understand it? The real message may not come about only when we associate or listen from realized souls, some devotees, genuine, proper devotees. When we hear it from them, yes, then the message would come about. When we start appreciating the listening, it's a subject matter of the soul. Naturally, we will find peace. We will find lots of calmness, relaxation, and there would be then a revolution in consciousness altogether, revolution in thought process and everything. So Bhagavad Gita would bring about a good proper presence of mind and a very the message again, it is a revelation in the heart. uh, uh, we pray for that revelation to appear in the heart when we associate with devotees, and then real learning in life begins. So, with this mood, aim, aspiration, prayer, hopefully we attract the mercy of Krishna. We should be convinced that yes, Krishna is watching, Krishna is listening, Krishna sanctioned this, or Krishna inspire us into whatever we do. Uh, and all Bhagavad Gita is to bring about a healthy relationship, much healthy, strong bond and connect, and not just like in isolation between me and God. No, between Krishna, us, devotees, amongst devotees and amongst um, friendly towards everyone, amongst others, everyone included. So, with this prayer, mood, aspiration, we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13. We begin. I can share screen and beautiful name of the chapter. And see, of all the chapters, some of the chapters are quite unique. Like chapter 4 in itself is very unique. Chapter 7 to 12 for sure. 11th is very captivating, universal form. Uh, and 14 is also quite unique in its sense. 15, this is a unique in a very sweet special sense, nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. And I must ask for say forgiveness from the very beginning. uh, some of the slokas in this chapter might appear to be a bit technical maybe, and again my understanding is on the surface, it's very limited, it's quite poor on the surface, but you are very kind and gentle, sincere souls helping me understand. So, thank you very much for tolerating me, and we continue. Chapter entitled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So, text 1 and 2, and maybe I will ask if Anuradha can read, she can read, otherwise, Harsha, you read. Arjuna Vacha प्रकृतिं पुरुषं चैव क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञम् एव च एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमिति अभिधीयते एतद्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विद. Okay, if Anuradha can read, then read, otherwise Harsha.
Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purush, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of the knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, This body, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Purport. Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti nature, Purush the enjoyer, Kshetra the field, Kshetrajan its knower, and knowledge and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all this, Krishna said that this body is called the field and that one who knows this body is called the knower. Hatna yeah, is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called Kshetrajan, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body and yet is still one person, yet is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehinosmina, that the living entity is within the body and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth and from youth to old age. And the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly Kshetrajan. Sometimes we think I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower, but the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetrajan, the knower of the field of activities. The knower of the field of activities and the body is called Kshetra, the field of activities itself. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness, they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities as the distressed, those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord, through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This also is explained. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti nature, Purush the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the knower of the field." Sorry. Is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field.
See, it's fair to say, right? What? I wish to be ever happy. This is a universal aspiration which we all are wanting. I wish to be ever happy. And see why wish? Because for now, we all of us, again, doesn't matter theist or atheist, all of us have been happy but momentarily happy. None of us, I don't think so, can anyone claim that I've been ever happy. But all of our heart's desire is what? I wish to be ever happy. I wish to be means I'm not there. And ever happy, not just like happy. I wish to be ever happy. So there are three segments in this to understand. I wish to be ever happy. Who is this I? Hmm? Who am I? Who is this I who wishes to be ever happy? Na? So who am I? What is my identity? Then happiness. What is happiness? What is real happiness? Because if I say I wish to be ever happy means continuously happy, everlastingly happy, permanent happiness, then actually it is happiness is permanent. Happiness should be permanent. Happiness should be eternal, should be real. So what is happiness? Where does it lie? Uh, what does it really mean to be happy? And what is the process? These are the three things. What is the process of being ever happy? How to be ever happy? And this we'll try to explore more from this chapter and overall any chapter of Bhagavad Gita is to make us ever happy. Bhagavad Gita is there to help us grow only. Actually, see, the study again, we do say limitation on my part. We just rush into it and all. I always feel like before reading any text or any shloka or even if we read any text, how much can just appreciation of Bhagavad Gita, I mean, these are the words of Krishna. How much and how much unlimited like appreciation we can do, we should do. Glorification of it, we can do, we should do. Uh, in Shrimad Bhagavatam, I believe in 11th canto, we study, we understand that Krishna consciousness is such a path that if one walks on it with blindfold, eyes blindfolded, and one walks on this path and at full speed or howsoever, one wouldn't still meet an accident. No. Uh, because actually, tell you what, it is a path of love. It is a path of love in which mistakes are allowed to happen. When in love, na, when in a loving relationship, when we are aiming for love, then when one becomes free from like the worry of mistakes or good or bad, right or wrong. That doesn't mean that we go casual, we do not be more alert. No, definitely. But we are in the path of Krishna consciousness is love centered, right? And love towards Krishna, love towards his devotees, and relationship with everyone. Everyone, bus driver, again, food delivery person, everyone actually. Uh, Different degrees though. There has to be boundaries. We cannot love everyone. That's not practical. That is not the message of Bhagavad Gita. Mm. We cannot like also everyone. I cannot like say my bus driver and then taxi driver, and no, cannot like everyone. uh, Respect everyone also, that has to be gauged with the relationship, but at least I should not hate anyone, I should not envy anyone, I should not carry any form of animosity, heaviness towards everyone. Yes, that we should do, and then we will find more peace within ourselves. So Bhagavad Gita, the entire message is to reform me, to combine or collect me. Right now, I'm very much in broken consciousness, no, scattered consciousness. So broken in pieces. Conditioned soul, conditioned life means scattered consciousness. Scattered consciousness means what? Oh, mind says something, intelligence says something, heart says something, soul says something, ego says something, and I'm split consciousness, no? Half here, half there, little bit here, little bit there. And the way is, I need to check my priorities out. Actually, it is very important for us living, na? What are my priorities? What is my priority in life? What is my aim in life? Look, if we are driven by a aim, na, we will always find peace, because I'm not here to please people in that sense, or please objects in that sense. If objects are not my aim, and say worldly people, pleasing worldly people, not devotees. Yes, I aspire, this is heart's desire to please devotees, but worldly people, I should not be um, aiming to please worldly people. I should not be really honestly making efforts or pleasing worldly people, or pleasing objects. Objects we can never please, we can never get rus out of it, our juice, nectar, mellow out of it. So aim, if my aim is love for Krishna, if my aim is to please devotees, and if my aim is to be a gentle human being, then whatever ups and downs come in the process, it will be, I should be all seeing it as a form of introspection, self introspection, right? To correct myself and always fine tune myself again towards that aim, fine tune myself towards that aim. So in Bhagavad Gita and throughout the battle, and in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is helping us understand what should be my priority in life, what should be my topmost priority in life, and how do I navigate life keeping in view that priority. I should never miss out on that priority or my aim, purpose in life, and would be very dangerous if I carry two aims or two purpose, or multi-aim or multi-purpose. No, I could be multi-engaged in the sense that that may not be also be multi-engaged in the sense, like I'm reading, then listening, then office work, looking after house, shopping, buying grocery, food, children, these things. So different engagements, some societal commitments and all. Uh, but aim should always be one. Purpose should always be one. For a sadhaka, purpose is only always one, and priority, our aim, purpose has to go very, very refined. It has to be very, very refined. So our aim and purpose should always be one: to please Guru and Gaurang, to please Krishna, to attract the mercy of Krishna, to love Krishna, to understand myself, to love myself. And we can never afford to think low of ourselves. Never. We can never afford to think any negative of ourselves. No, these are not at all healthy or good, no thoughts. No, and we should never feed any negative thoughts to ourselves. Which no, no way. And we are not fallen also. No, we are Krishnas, though conditioned, but because we are in devotee care, because we are in devotee contact, so we are in the right track. uh, we might be struggling, but at least we are making the effort, right? At least we are struggling, so we should always give ourselves that credit. We should always give ourselves that credit. So if I again try to check my rail of thoughts here. So we started like somewhat, I wish to be ever happy. So who is this I? What is happiness? And what is the process by which I can be ever happy? And happiness has to be increasing. Wow. See, Happiness is something which we always desire to be increasing. Happiness has to be increasing. Happiness can never be like decreasing. So this is worldly happiness which is decreasing. Sense gratification happiness decreasing. Looks so good in the beginning, but then the end is poisonous. But Krishna conscious happiness is always increasing. So the whole practice of Krishna consciousness, each chapter and everything is entitled to this only, to cater to this I. The soul proper's saturation is in love for Krishna and attainment of love of Krishna. That is when the soul will find its ultimate saturation. Otherwise, there is no force in this world which can satisfy us. No force, no, no. So the entire practice of Krishna consciousness, how do we dovetail our lifestyle and everything so that in association of devotees we can have a very sweet relationship with Krishna, and it is by experience, it is by realizations, and we can move forward in our progress towards the attainment of the highest the realm Golok Vrindavana, towards our spiritual identity and spiritual seva. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? And what does it mean? It's said in the purport, right? Like conditioned souls, we have a tendency to load it over material nature. Even other places in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes in the purport, and many of his classes and other books, Prabhupada writes in the commentaries or in his writings, that conditioned souls have a tendency to load it over material nature. What does it mean, loading over material nature? Uh, Anyone, if any thoughts? Anuja, if you can speak, or if someone can speak. Load it over material nature meaning swamitva jatana, na? Like exploitation. Uh, to think ourselves that we are the champions, to think ourselves that we are the masters, and we use things, then uh, we are here as caretakers, not as controllers. And even if I'm put in control, no, say if I'm put in control of uh, some department, say put in control of some looking after say brahmacharya ashram, put in control of looking after this ashram, that ashram, or something, then it is not like okay, I'm the controller now. I've been given a no. Everything for a sadhaka should be service oriented. Everything should be seva. Actually, the eternal nature of the soul is to serve only. Na? So whatever we do, even if it may look like, oh wow, it's a big role, or you're a senior now, you sit on Vyasasan and give class in the temple, Srimad Bhagavatam class, sit on Vyasasan and lead Bhagavad Katha. Nothing should be seen as like, okay, wow, as a higher or better sort of thing. Everything is like service. Everything should be taken as service. So we are not controllers in that sense in this world. If at all, I mean, not if at all, we are actually caretakers, and that should be our consciousness. How to be a good caretaker in this world. So load it over material nature means what? Given an opportunity, a conditioned soul, given an opportunity, he would try to exploit. He would want to cheat. Given an opportunity, a conditioned soul would want to deviate. Now, check it out in real personal life. Uh, we should do more introspection, self introspection. And am I deviating? Given an opportunity, a conditioned soul would what? Look left, right. Oh, no one is watching me. And how can I squeeze in, or how can I load? So, a given like conditioned soul, na, we all want to be little Krishna. We all act as little Bhagwan, little Krishna. to exploit. And we all harbor some ill motivated or self centered desires, and that is the cause of our bondage. That is the cause of our bondage because of ignorance, avidya. And see, there's some things. Sin is committed because of ignorance. Sin is because of ignorance, and offense is because of knowledge. Offense is not done because of ignorance. No. Offense is knowingly. I know, and yet I do it. Sinning is more because of conditioned nature, not aware, unknowingly. When something done knowingly, it is not more of a sin, it is more of an offense. Now, for a Jagrat sadhaka, for an awakened soul, for him, he should be, for him, because if he is trying to be awakened or being awakened, or if he considers himself to be any awake, he should think like, wow, I'm such an offender, such an offender, uh, such an offender. What does this aparad in Sanskrit say, right? Aparad. Uh, so we understand offense, that which puts us in a distance from Krishna, or that which with sin, say Krishna does not have much of a problem. Okay, Krishna understands it's our second nature or conditioned nature out of ignorance. Na? So this is why sin is not a thing, but aparad is very heavy. Offense is the separation between us and Krishna is because of cheating propensity. And this cheating propensity is born out of offenses, knowingly offenses. The separation between us and Krishna is kapat. Kapat. Kapat meaning cheating. And cheating one does knowingly. Has anyone ever done cheating unknowingly? No. Cheating is always knowingly. I know within my heart how filthy am I. Uh, Cheating is done knowingly only. Offenses is the obstacle between us and Krishna. Not see this meat eating, gambling, and all. These are not the blockages between us and Krishna. These are not actually a real thing. They have their space, but the real thing is what? This independent sense of enjoyment, this exploitative mentality, this cheating propensity, uh, wanting the kingdom of God without God, loading it over material nature knowingly. Offensive mentality is the uh, separation between us and Krishna, and which is born of cheating propensity, which is in knowledge, not in ignorance. In ignorance could be perhaps my next door neighbor, eating whatever he likes, doing whatever he does, and all because of ignorance. But someone who is awakened and yet does, then it is like cheating, and that is the struggle. That is the struggle, and this is why we seek shelter of devotees. We seek shelter of holy name. Holy name is so merciful. Japa is so merciful. It helps us come through our offenses. And devotee association, one has to be very respectful of devotee association. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? One of the messages of Bhagavad Gita is to understand our limit, to know our limit, know our position, to understand our position, act and live by our position. And this may sound a bit rude, a bit harsh, or a bit strong, huh? But actually, if I say in Hindi, na, in Hindi it comes even more strong. One of the message of Bhagavad Gita is, or the message of Bhagavad Gita is, भगवान कह रहे हैं मेरे लल्लू लाल अपनी औकात समझ और अपनी औकात में रह, है ना? औकात समझ और अपनी औकात में रह. अब देखो भारत में हिंदी भाषी या जो भी हिंदी भाषी हो, वो किसी को बोलो कितना ठेस लग जाए ना, भाई अपनी औकात जानता है, पता है तेरी औकात क्या है, हैसियत क्या है. So it's a very strong thing. It is a very strong thing to tell someone, do you know your limit? What is your limit? You're crossing your limits. Be within your limits. Understand your position and be content or live in your position. In many ways, this is the message. Krishna is telling us, look, God is singular, God is one. Him. You are not God, you are gods. It is me, the supreme singular supreme personality of Godhead. So understand your limit. Do not exploit over material nature. Give this exploitative mentality. Now, eh, one may struggle to connect what does it mean to exploit, and I'm not exploiting. I'm paying my bills on time, I'm paying my taxes, and I'm a good human being by and large. Where am I exploiting? Uh, But when we come again more in the practice of Krishna consciousness, when we become a bit more awakened, we'll find that actually the barrier between us and Krishna is not sin, it is cheating propensity. Uh, Knowingly harboring material desires, very dangerous. Knowingly harboring. And for this is the message actually, everything comes about in devotee association. Trigunya Visayaveda Nistrigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdvanda Nitya Satvastha Niryoga Shema Atmavana. So Atmavan Nitya Satvastha, Krishna says Bhagavad Gita 245. Nitya Satvastha, so to be eternally situated in good association. And then everything would come about. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? Okay, let us read next. If Anuja, you can read, then read translation and purport text 3. Huh? If Anuja cannot read, then Anuradha read translation and Harsha read purport. क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञाननं यत्र ज्ञाननं मतं मम अनुजा पढ़ पासी के पढ़ो.
O skin of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. While discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul and the super soul, we shall find three different topics of study.
You
The
read the
Lord,
translation, right, Anuja?
huh, we shall
Continue.
find three different topics of study: the Lord, the living entity, and the matter. In every field of activities, in every body, there are souls. There are two souls, the individual soul and the super soul. Because the super soul is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the I am the super knower. I am present in everybody as the Paramatma or super soul. One who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field very minutely in terms of Bhagavad Gita can attain to knowledge. The Lord says, I am the knower of the field of activities in every individual body. The individual may be the knower of his own body, but he is not in knowledge of other bodies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as the Super Soul in all bodies, knows everything about all bodies. He knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but King knows not only his palace but all the properties possessed by the individual citizens. Similarly, one may be the proprietor of the body individually, but the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies. The king is the original proprietor of the kingdom, and the citizen is the secondary proprietor. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the supreme proprietor of all bodies. The body consists of the senses. The Supreme Lord is Rishikesha, which means the controller of the senses. He is the original controller of the senses, just as the king is the original controller of all the activities of the state. The citizens are secondary controllers. The Lord says, I am also the knower. This means that he is the super knower. The individual soul knows only his particular body. In the Vedic literature, it is stated as follows.
क्षेत्राणि शरीराणि बीजं चापि सुभासुभे तानि वेति स योगात्मा ततः क्षेत्रज्ञ उच्यते.
This body is called the Kshetra, and within it dwells the owner of the body and the Supreme Lord, who knows both the body and the owner of the body. Therefore, he is called the knower of all fields. The distinction between the field of activities, the knower of activities, and the supreme knower of activities is described as follows. Perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution of supersoul is known in terms of Vedic literature as jnana. That is the opinion of Krishna. To understand both the soul and the supersoul as one, yet distinct is knowledge. To understand both the soul and the supersoul as one, yet distinct is knowledge. One who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. One has to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer of nature, and Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. One should not confuse the three in their different capacities. One should not confuse the painter, the painting, and the easel. This material world, which is the field of activities, is nature. The enjoyer of nature is the living entity, and above them both is the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. It is stated in the Vedic language in the Shvetavasvara Upanishad 1.12 Bhokta Bhogyam Priritaram Cha Matva Sarvam Prokritam Trividham Brahmam Etat. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is the Brahman as the field of activities, and the Jiva, individual soul, is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature, and the controller of both of them is called Brahman, but he is the factual controller. In this chapter, it is it will also be explained that out of the two knowers, one is fallible and the other is infallible. One is superior and the other is subordinate. One who understands that the two knowers of the field to be one and the same contradicts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who states here very clearly, I am also the knower of the field of activity. One who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. There are different kinds of bodies and there are different owners of the bodies because each individual soul has its individual capacity for lording it over material nature. There are different bodies, but the Supreme also is present in them as the controller. The word cha is significant, for it indicates the total number of bodies. That is the opinion of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body apart from the individual soul. And Krishna explicitly says here that real knowledge is to know that the super soul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite enjoyer. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion.
There's some places in Bhagavad Gita where we see Krishna says, "This is my opinion," huh? And actually, wherever he says, "This is my opinion," that is the uh, conferred message of the scriptures. That is the conclusion. That actually is the conclusion. So Krishna is saying what that he's the knower in all bodies, and we see. I cannot say I know everything about my body itself. No, I don't know fully the workings of my body, and I don't think so. Anyone can actually claim that he or she's, howsoever big a scientist may be, say, but they know all in all about their own body. No, what to speak of someone else in the world, huh? So Krishna, only he knows in and out of my body and everyone's body and everything. Only Krishna. Uh, So there's a in this world, by and large, I mean, in simple terms, there's Krishna, living entities, and matter, right? Matter. So we are Krishna's energy potency, but higher, and matter is also Krishna's energy, but lower than us. Krishna has multifarious energy, but broadly three energies. Internal means, say in simple terms, something reliable, something trustworthy. Internal तो उसी को बोलेंगे ना जो अंदरूनी अंदर घर का अपना. By the way, it was a bit very shocking and interesting for me to know. Last 2-3 days back, I was a very good friend of mine, Chris, and Chris and Louise, and she mentioned, like Chris mentioned, there's this word pariah, which he said it's maybe an English word or it is used. I never heard that pariah being used in as an English word outside of the subcontinent of India. It's quite pleasantly shocked there. So, and it means the same. Pariah we understand, right? What pariah means. What would you say, Harsha? What does pariah mean? How would you briefly describe or explain pariah?
Can be unknown.
Unknown, Anuja. Anyone else, if would like to say? Anuradha, if you can say. Anuja, you are on mute.
Still trying to find the right word.
ठीक है तो सोचिए. So, see, there's no one like pariah in this world. We should never consider that. Yeah, unknown is thing. There's no one like unknown or pariah in this world for us. Pariah is more like disowned. More than unknown, disowned. Uh, It's like discrimination. Somewhat wherein I discard. This is what, no, Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 text 1. Senayo, no, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, na? How does it start? किम अकुर्वत संजय है ना मामका पांडवश्चैव धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे सामवेत युयुत्सवा मामका पांडवश्चैव किम अकुर्वत संजय. Mamaka, my sons and Pandu's sons assembled. What did they do? So he did a separation, na? My sons and Pandu's sons, Paraya. So known, but not internal, not apne, not my own. I know them, but they are not my own. Uh, I do not take them as my own. Uh, So, we just know about our body, but for Krishna, no one is pariah. For Krishna, no one is like outsider. No one is outsider for Krishna. So Krishna knows everyone's body, everyone's health status, nature status, mind status, and everything in and out. And when we know Krishna, then we can also, by his blessings, we can also know about ourselves. And Krishna residing as super soul within our hearts will give us all encouragement. So in the translation in purport, right? In the purport, we read about the painter, the painting, and the easel. What does easel mean? Easily बोलते हैं क्या? It's called easel, no, if at all it is
Board,
called. Huh?
the board.
Board, I'm not sure if easel means
Hmm.
board.
Wherein you put your canvas.
ओके आप सब समझदार हो जानते हो ईजल समझो so easel I think it's something related to the paint brush huh? I think it is something but can be checked I feel it is something to do with the paint brush the easel so the painter the painting and the easel है ना Krishna is the painter nature material nature is the painting say Easel also is Krishna's creation, say, using this. Now, how material nature came about? Using living entities, na? Maya also. So that easel, say, painting comes about, right? So material nature has come about through us living entities, higher energy. Now, imagine a painter painting an easel, say easel to be the brush. Now, if the painter he has got the brush but he's not using it properly what will happen frustration a good painting won't come about and the painter will be frustrated like we have been given with laptop to use but if I do not use it properly frustration I've got a smartphone but if I do not use it properly frustration Likewise, if I've given this human body, but I do not use it, see, we have various energy points na, in our human body, and energy should always be flowing upwards. So we should be channelizing all the energies we have in our body towards calling out to Radha Krishna. But if we are not doing that, then frustration. And devotees give this very nice example. Actually, it happened. See what happened. I mean, devotees give this good example. See, a person suppose he buys a, BMW, very nice car he buys, and if he uses that BMW in an agricultural field to till the land, what will happen? Will the land be tilted? Will the land be giving us the result we expect? No. Will the person be satisfied and happy? No. What will happen to the car? Damage. Nothing but a write-off everywhere. Ultimately, what? Frustration. Ultimately, kicking our heads, swearing, and ultimately so much so that we will go blaspheming and every negativity we will adopt. Uh, Complaining others, blaspheming scriptures, blaspheming Krishna, complaining about life, wrong, every negative. Why? Because the BMW is not meant to be used in an agricultural field. And if a tractor is given, but if I use tractor in what? Motorway, trying to go say from London to Glasgow in a motorway tractor, again what will happen? Driver will get completely frustrated. And the machine, the car, the tractor would get burned out. And nearby passengers also on the motorway, they would be frustrated. They would also be shouting. So ultimately, what will happen? No one will be satisfied. No one will be happy because the tractor is not meant for that. Likewise, this human form of life is not meant for mundane sense gratification. It is meant for sense enlightenment. It is meant for sense enlightenment. So how do I channelize this human form of life? If I do not use this human form of life to call out to Krishna, then I will experience frustration. But if I use it to call out to Krishna, now Bhagavad Gita is calling out to Krishna, reading, hearing, chanting, everything is calling out to Krishna in that consciousness. Then I will experience strength, vitality, courage, and knowledge, everything, wisdom, happiness, satisfaction. But unless I use this human form of life for the service of Guru and Gaurang, for the pleasure of the lordships and devotees, I wouldn't really find satisfaction, or I won't be pleased. No, cannot even come to equilibrium in life, equanimity. No. So as like a car, if I'm using it in fields, the car is getting hampered, destroyed, written off. The field is also getting destroyed, and the I as the driver is also getting frustrated. Likewise, the soul proper residing or owning the body. But if the body is not used properly, the soul proper will receive frustration only from time to time, from time to time. And one day that frustration may build up so much, one may become fully atheist, and one may be very blaspheming, or one may be so casual, then he will be just hankering or maybe running after some small cheap sense gratification easy. So we need to understand what is the field, uh, knower of the field of activities. What is the field of activities? So the body is the field, the knower of the field is the soul proper, and field of activities is the activities of the soul proper to love and serve Krishna. Unless we do this, we will experience frustration only in life from time to time, clueless about life, or even whatever clue we are having of life, that won't be the ultimate purpose. No. So human life begins when we start inquiring. Human life begins when we understand I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. I'm Krishna's, I'm a spark of Krishna's energy. That is when human life begins. And when I dovetail my life in a chase after Krishna. Also, we see now Vedic literatures give us this example that in one tree, two birds are sitting: the super soul and the soul and the super soul. Huh? And what the soul, the soul is us in one small bird and one big bird in one tree are sitting. Huh? Small bird and big bird. And who's the small bird? The small bird is us. And who is the big bird? Big bird is Krishna. Krishna is the big bird and us are the small bird. And now the big bird is continuously watching, witnessing, seeing the movements, the desires, and the temptations and the workings of the small bird, and inspiring that, oh, you wanted this, you wanted that, and is trying to get the attention of the small bird. And us small birds are so engaged. Look, see, birds, they don't remain still. They're always moving here and there. And us small birds are exactly like that. From one branch of the tree jumping to another branch, jumping to another branch, one desire, another desire, one desire, another desire, and never find saturation or fulfillment or satisfaction in our desires. We are not very clear with our priorities in life. We are not very clear with our aim in life. We do not follow aim. We try to please people. That is a problem. We do not follow a spiritual aim. We try to please society. We try to please mundaneness. We try to please objects. We try to be in a loving relationship with objects. That is a problem. And aim meaning not a thought, a concept. No, our aim is Krishna. So when my aim is Krishna, I can settle down with anything what comes in my life. I wouldn't be complaining. And yet I should be pursuing towards attainment of Krishna. So the utility, the proper usage has to be understood. Uh, car, if it is not used for what it is meant to drive from one place to another, and leaving that if it is used for anything else in a field and all, it is going to give trouble only. Laptop, if it is not used for the purpose it is meant, mobile phone, they are going to give trouble only. Likewise, us, we belong to Krishna, but if we do not live our life like that, we are going to face trouble and frustration from time to time, for sure. So, Bhagavad Gita teaches us to understand who we are, respect our identity, respect ourselves, uh, and get our goals aligned, get our aims aligned, priorities aligned. You know, ship, when they sail the ship, most of the time it is looking at the course, navigating the ship in the right direction, checking, first fixing a destination, right? Coordinates and all. Set nav, what is my starting point and what is my end point? Our set nav won't work, no? It asks for an end point. So human life also we need to understand, where are we navigating? Where is my navigation point? I have to come to my ultimate destination. Need to understand what is my ultimate destination. So then I mold my life. So likewise, ship, na, someone sailing the ship, so they know, okay, from Southampton to Boston. Okay, now let us sail the ship and check the wind. Where is the wind flowing? What is the weather like? Rain, moisture, all these things checking and guiding the ship, giving it direction, giving it direction. Likewise, for us to understand the field, the body, the nature of the field, the activities, and the knower of the field, and guiding properly. How do I guide? The soul proper is the king. Intelligence is the prime minister. Yeah, mind is the minister. Senses are the other ministers, or say the population. So the soul proper is the authority, the king. And soul should be dictated and followed by the super soul. When you say na, gut feeling, inspiration, intuition, and for in reality it is the super soul Krishna guiding through us. Krishna speaks to all of us provided we listen. We should be open to that communication. So how do we navigate our life? The soul should lead, the intelligence should follow, the mind should follow everything, and the soul should be following the dictations of the super soul. That way is just like the ship needs navigating. Destination has to fix and has to be fixed. Flying a plane, it doesn't go just like, okay, just no, from London to Delhi. Now the set nav and everything is set, and the pilot, flight goes on autopilot, right? The pilot is checking direction, the pressure, whatnot, the weather and all, and just navigating. Likewise, for us, we just have to fix our destination, our aim, our priority, and work on it in good association. That is Krishna consciousness. Okay, any questions, thoughts, or comments? Okay, let us check next. Harsha, read translation purport. Text for this should be Tat Tatchetram yach chadrik yadvikari yatascha yat sachayot yat prabhavascha tat samasena me shrinu.
Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. The Lord is describing the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities in their constitutional positions. One has to know how this body is constituted, the materials of which this body is made, under whose control this body is working, how the changes are taking place, where from the changes are coming, what the causes are, what the reasons are, what the ultimate goal of the individual soul is, and what the actual form of the individual soul is.
What the ultimate goal of the individual soul is. We need to find an ultimate goal in life. Ultimate goal, what the ultimate form of this individual soul is. This is what we should be driven by, and especially us practicing Krishna consciousness. This is not some fancy or imagination. Krishna is not a concept of the mind. He's not a concept. He's not like an imagination. He's not like a hope. God is hope. God is a crutch for someone who is weak. No. So what?
One,
Okay, continue.
one should also know the distinction between the individual living soul and the super soul, their different influences, their potentials, etc. One just has to understand this Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all this will be clarified. But one should be careful not to consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every body to be one with the individual soul. In every body to be one with the individual soul, the Jiva. This is something like equating the potent and the impotent. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are.
Krishna is leaving no scope, say, unturned for us to be not Krishna conscious. So many ways he's trying to help us understand actually about ourselves, but we are so busy or caught up in mundane affairs of this world. So we should not neglect, honestly, we should not neglect the message of study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This should be our priority. Krishna consciousness should be my priority. Like, Prabhupada met his spiritual master in the year 1922 when he was, Prabhupada was in the bodily age of 26. And in the year 1922, India was struggling for independence, and the struggle for independence was quite hot that time. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Maharaj, Prabhupada's spiritual master, ordered him or instructed him in the very first meeting that Abhay and Naren, Prabhupada and his friend Naren, Abhay Charan and Narendra, you both are educated boys. Why don't you take the message of Krishna consciousness to the Western world? So Prabhupada replied a bit of a natural reply, right? Prabhupada said, well, for now, the highest thing for India, the most priority for India is, important thing is to get freedom, to gain political freedom. And then once we are free, we can propagate the message of Krishna consciousness. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur replied that no, this message of Krishna consciousness, it is an urgency. emergency. It can never wait for India to be politically free or not free. It is not dependent on any material consideration. So for likewise for us, sadhaka is one when I become awakened, when I become open or enlightened or say. And for us, the day I become awakened, then I should be working towards my ultimate goal in life, perfecting, refining that ultimate goal. So for us, like, see, Maya tricks in many ways, na? I should never entertain that, okay, now thing is okay. India is politically free and we can do. No, I mean to say that yes, that job is done, or first let me do this task at hand. Our real important business is Krishna consciousness, the practice of Krishna consciousness, and we should never wait for anything else in this world. So we need to understand our priorities in life, very important, our aims and aspirations in life. And better if they are linked with Krishna, better if they are connected with Krishna, even better if they are related to Krishna, or best if they are centered to Krishna. So maybe I will leave it here with just this thought, and any question or comments or clarifications, then kindly share. There's something like linked with Krishna. Linked with Krishna. Now, linked with Krishna is fine. Connected with Krishna, that's also okay. Related with Krishna, okay. These are some in my head. These are terms, something where Krishna is involved a bit. Okay, that is the benefit. That is the good thing. Krishna is involved, but we don't want to do devotional service as linked with Krishna, connected with Krishna, and related with Krishna. Krishna centered is much better. Uh, Life should be all revolving Krishna centered. When life is Krishna centered, then it is peaceful, it is joyous, it is knowledgeable. It is only when we come out of our limit, not be Krishna centered, then all problems come. Because if Krishna is the center of my life, then there won't be any problems in life. And life is not, again, the aim of practicing Krishna consciousness is not to free myself from problems. The aim is to become a pure devotee of Krishna. The aim is to attain Krishna, to attain that consciousness, absolute consciousness level, and to serve Krishna in that absolute consciousness level. That is the aspiration, to have no split in my consciousness. Consciousness is one, I should not be having split in it. One identity, one direction, one personality, one direction, one flow, all the way towards Krishna. Wherever I go, whatever I do and all, my life should be all aimed. So we live in relationships. I need to understand what is my relationship with Krishna. More and more work on that relationship. It is a sweet, loving relationship. Krishna reciprocates very much. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? Okay, then maybe we give it a rest here. Thank you very much for your kind encouragement. We'll continue our study tomorrow from chapter 13 and text 5 onwards. Hare Krishna.